Matthew chapter 20, 1 through 16, the parable of the workers in the vineyard. Here we go. For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire men to work in his vineyard. He agreed to pay them a denarius for the day and sent them into his vineyard. About the third hour he went out and saw others standing in the marketplace doing nothing. He told them, "You also go and work in my vineyard, and I will pay you whatever is right." So they went. He went out again about the 6th hour and the 9th hour and did the same thing. About the 11th hour he went out and found still others standing around. He asked them, "Why have you been standing here all day long doing nothing?" "Because no one has hired us," they answered. He said to them, "You also go work in my vineyard." When evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, "Call the workers and pay them their wages, beginning with the last ones hired and going on to the first." The workers who were hired about the 11th hour came and received a denarius. So when those came who were hired first, they expected to receive more, but each one of them also received a denarius. When they received it, they began to grumble against the landowner. "These men who were hired last worked only 1 hour," they said, "and you have made them equal to us, who have borne the burden of the work and the heat of the day." But he answered one of them, "Friend, I am not being unfair to you. Didn't you agree to work for a denarius? Take your pay and go. I want to give the man who was hired last the same as I gave you. Don't I have the right to do what I want with my own money? Or are you envious because I am generous?" So the last will be first, and the first will be last. What's the meaning of all this? Well, number one, it shows that God is no respecter of persons. What does that mean? It means that God shows no partiality. Number two, what this is saying is that it doesn't matter if you've been saved your whole life or you get saved right before you kick the bucket. It doesn't matter. Salvation is the same for all of us that are saved, okay? He doesn't favor one of us over the other. You see, Christ died for each and every one of us. The kingdom of heaven is not obtained by works, but it is received through grace. So what this parable is saying is that it's never too late. As long as you still have breath in your lungs, God's grace and salvation is available there for you. All right, that was the milk of the meditation. Now I'm going to give you the meat. Jesus was speaking to a Jewish audience. And as you know, Jesus was a Jew himself. That's why when Jesus was speaking to the Samaritan woman at the well, he told her salvation comes through the Jews, because Jesus was the Messiah. He was salvation, and he came through the Jews. So because Jesus was a Jew, naturally, the Jews heard the message of salvation first. But here's the thing, they didn't receive him. We can read in John chapter 1, verse 10, "He was in the world, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet to all who received him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God." So in this parable of the workers in the vineyard, the Jews are the workers that started in the beginning of the day and worked the full day. The Gentiles are the workers that came later in the day and at the end of the day, but yet still got the same pay. You see, the denarius represents salvation. Salvation isn't rewarded through works. It's given through grace. The Messiah may have come through the Jews, but the Jews aren't the only ones the Messiah came to save. Jesus even says in John chapter 10, verse 14, that he has other sheep. Here it is. "I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. And I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that are not of this sheep pen. I must bring them also. They too will listen to my voice, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. So what God is saying is that he gave us all the right to be children of God through his grace, not by works. If it were by works, then the Jews who knew him longer and put in the full day's work, they would receive a better salvation and a better kingdom of heaven than the Gentiles who came and worked the last hour of the day. And that's just not the case. Salvation is for everyone. And just like it says here in John chapter 1, verse 12, yet to all who receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. Key word here, all who received him. All right, saints, I'm going to close this message out with one of the most famous verses in the entire Holy Bible. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have eternal life. That's John 3:16. The world, he so loved the world. Not just one group of people. He died for the whole world. Look at me. You looking at this video right now, looking at me. He died for you. He loves you so much.